so I'm kind of exerting my power, and they form into like a sort of ghostly morass, you know, a gigantic ghost bunny.
Welcome back. So when we left, you were flying down towards the planet of greenery with the massive ice statues giving off steam and the various textures of the plants below. The windows are starting to get dewy from the heat. I think we were going to try and land the plane here, and our options, Bucky told you through the ghost network that if you want to talk to some of the local ghosts, there's this spot over to the right where there's kind of pointier rocks that you could try and go down through actually it's like a bigger canopy, like more leaves to try and crash through, or there's like a wider open plain off to the left where you'd have an easier landing and kind of a farther walk to get into where you're trying to go. I'm not sure. I believe probably Hela's the one flying the plane, but you can decide where you want to go and how you're going to make your approach.
Which feels like better in terms of like being concealed?
Well, the one to the right with the local ghosts, there's a lot of brush over there, so you'd be concealed that way. The other one is farther away, so there's like not as much attention there. And yeah, I think you've both got kind of a safe place to start from in either location, and then kind of work from there.
If anyone has any, Hela, sorry, I saw the question in the chat. Yeah, Hela. Unless anyone has any objections, I kind of think that first option sounds a little bit more fun. We're a little bit closer to the action, but it's also a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a navigate danger roll when we're ready. So that means plus poise. And the danger this time, because we're choosing that option, I'll give it a rating of 3 for your ship. It's like a big crash if it goes poorly.
Nice. All right. Snake eyes, and I have a poise of 0.
Okay. I was kind of hoping that would happen because that also gets me a chance to talk about the team up action. So that was maybe where this was headed. So under the basic moves, team up, if Jim or Winter want to try to help you, says, when you help someone rolling a basic move, you roll plus nothing. Anyone can say how they help and add to your roll like this. +1 for processing a dynamic, +1 if it matched the leader's action, +1 if it was a big feeling. On a 7 to 9, choose 1. On a 10 plus both, you get to boost the leader's results. So we could take that up from a 6- to a 7 to 9, or up to a 10+ if we do it twice, or boost the leader's impact. On a 6-, get in their way and lower their impact, or squabble and get rocked. I'm kind of jumping the gun here, I guess. Like, I'm assuming that Winter and Jim are going to try to help, but they can say if or how.
Do you have any ideas, Jim?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, what if Jim had, stealthily, not that Jim doesn't trust Hela, but just that maybe there was an app that was loaded onto the Starship system. I know it's a pirate ship, but I'm assuming there's mechanics for some sort of app situation somewhere to kind of help course correct if perhaps Hela ever needed a little bit of assistance when not crashing into a canopy.
Hela thinks she's so good at staying in the lanes, but really it's just the lane protection.
Just a little extra steering assistance was a thought I had.
I love that.
Okay.
So if Jim is helping, you get to roll 2d6 and +0 for starts, but we can add more after maybe.
So I have a 9.
That's good. So it says +1 for processing a dynamic. If you remember earlier, you chose that good teamwork feeling of gratitude. yeah, if you want to use that, we can use that, and it's +1. But also because gratitude is the feeling that matches with navigate danger, it matches the thing you're helping with, it would actually be +2. So we'd be taking it up to an 11 instead of a 9 for you. Would you like to do that?
Jim would love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can explain more what that means. Like right now with a 9, you're in the 7 to 9 range, so you could boost the results once from currently a 6 to a 7 to 9. If you'd like to boost twice up to a 10 plus, then we have to spend your gratitude. Yes.
Alternatively, I can
do it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Jim's feeling gratitude.
Yeah. So I'll help you with this. We're gonna uncheck gratitude, and then up on the processing bar, this is kind of like experience points. We're gonna write a D there to show that you've, oops, don't do that. Undo, delete, just a D, to show that you've used a dynamic. And so eventually when you've got a few feelings here, you can talk about what you've been learning, and then you can get a level up based on whether you've been having more good feelings or more bad feelings on the adventure.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so as we were describing, Hela was not flying super good, but these bumpers are super helpful. So maybe Hela thinks she's flying the ship, but it's actually Jim kind of guiding it. And then, yeah, Jex, do you want to describe how does this work as you're getting through all these branches and trees to find a spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely get, like I imagine a car windshield, right, with the sort of stuff thwapping against it. So I think there's some of that. I think there's a lot of like I turn the sort of steering apparatus, whatever it is, a little like too far, but it kind of corrects itself. And we just come in for this like aside from getting kind of scratched up by this the branches and all of that stuff, like we come in for this like just like really smooth landing.
Cool. I think as soon as you land, your ship is kind of overrun with these little rodent people kind of jumping all over your ship. These are kind of like our cute Ewoks or something. The ones I like to use, I call them fluff bumpkins. They're just kind of like little rabbit people with huge ears, very fluffy, just little faces chittering around. Oh, but I said these were ghosts. So there's ghostly fluff bumpkins just kind of hopping through the ship and like all sort of jumping all over the place inside here now. I think Winter is the only one that can see these if they're ghosts.
They're everywhere.
What's everywhere?
They're weird little ghost bunny things.
That sounds incredible. That one for me.
They look like they might bite.
Huh. I think that Hela, especially being the newest crew member, doesn't always know what to make of the ghost stuff, and kind of just wonders is Winter just hallucinating all the time?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we've been able to act off of good information many times, but
it's just really have to take a lot of faith because it just looks like reacting to nothing. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can channel and make one real, but then I have to spend some. I have to actually do that as a part of my power. I have to unleash the Tempest.
Yeah, that doesn't seem worth it here.
Do that. Yeah, no, that seems like a lot. Yeah.
It's not that it costs you anything. It's just that it's bad if it goes bad.
Yeah, it's like risky. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem worth it to try to do that. But they're like little bunny things, huh?
Yeah, they can talk. These are they have speech. They can kind of maybe it's the ghosts are talking to each other. Maybe Bucky's kind of the middle person here again. But they're spreading their ghost whispers around. Maybe your universal translator doesn't work on ghost. And then Bucky is telling you like, oh yeah, they say there's like a secret passage this way. There's kind of a known pathway through the trees that the Crowns haven't taken over yet. They've got their guards set up along the big roads where they're vehicles, their conquest chariots, can drive through. But the secret back alleyways of the fluff bumpkins that the people here have used, they're not currently guarded.
They seem friendly, and they've got some kind of secret passage. I'm sure we can completely trust them, and in no way are they leading us into danger.
Yeah, let's follow the bunnies. Jim?
Follow the white rabbit?
100%. I'm down to follow them. And also, Winter, am I petting one? Am I petting one now? Now?
You just put your hand through one's little head. It's really... Oh, God, no! Leaping at me.
We might be hitting another move here. If you go to the Moves tab, I can probably start getting some of you to read moves. In the second column, the third move, Share a Moment. Yeah. Megan, can you read that one? Because you might be hitting it.
Sure. Share a moment. When you share a moment with a fellow PC and the vibe matches one of the 5 dynamics, mark it. If it's already marked, process a condition.
Yeah, we're having kind of a nice moment here with trying to pet the bunnies. How do you two feel in this moment? Does it satisfy any of the dynamics?
I mean, I guess I'm kind of trusting Winter that I am, in fact, getting close to the bunnies and just having a nice little time interacting with ghost bunnies via Winter.
That would make sense.
This can also go for the rest of you. If like it can be mutual. If you also feel like you're having teamwork feelings, you can mark them.
Cool. So we can mark trust.
If that's how you feel.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I am being trusted, so that kind of creates a dynamic.
How does solace fit in here? Like, what does that mean in this context? Like, just like
if you feel at peace, I guess is how I would usually think of it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you find, because the game can often have like a lot of hectic tension. It's about anxiety and burnout in a lot of ways. So if you find like a moment of rest, then that's how I see it fitting in.
Yeah, I think I'll go with trust then as well. Not necessarily because I trust that Winter isn't leading Jim astray, but so much that like as much apprehension as I have about the whole ghost thing, he's gotten us to where we need to be more often than not.
Cool. Sorry, just reviewing a note. Right, so you're following the ghost bunnies that only Winter can see down this path. As we're making progress, I'm going to check my grid again. So I think we've made 3 marks at this point because we both like got through the trees. I was going to say was at least 1, and then following ghost bunnies again gives us another couple. So I think we can get to the next sort of stage of your journey here. And so you come up behind one of these ice statues, and for the magic of the crowns, I often use kind of like a crown jewel kind of thing, like infinity stones. So there's probably like some gemstones around the base of these that are helping explain the tech or magic of how they are not melting. I think this steam that we've established is giving you more of a cover here too. There's like both the tree foliage and the steam coming off these massive ice sculptures that are going to help you hide a little bit. And you can see the crowns have kind of set up their materials and machines here. Like there's little control panels kind of just like thrust into the dirt. Some big shiny buttons on those. There's some turrets and things kind of pointed in different directions because they've tried to set up a big perimeter around this ritual that's going on. Yeah, I'm not sure if I was clear about where we were headed before, but when Bucky was shouting about the Dreamer, I think you've been able to get a bit more out of him at this point and following the sensors. Yeah. Did we name the AI? I forget what the name was. George.
George.
Yeah. So Bucky has kind of communicated that George has captured the Dreamer, the Warp God, who maybe they've also communicated a little bit about the shape. It's a symbiotic pairing I'm using this time. There's, I'm going to say, what's a fun animal? Maybe we said veil and harm to animals, actually, so maybe not an animal. I'm going to go with, it's a plant. There are these two plants that have kind of intertwined. It's like a vine, and I'm picturing like a white tree with bright red leaves that also has a vine sort of intertwined in around it, maybe going like in and out of the bark. And so this tree gives off divine energies, and they've established that George is going to do something to this tree to try and steal the powers and break the way that warp travel is supposed to work. So to kind of reset, currently where we are, you're coming out of this old pathway, pushing between all the leaves, with the panels up ahead, the steam giving off, and you hear maybe like chainsaws or something even, but like you hear some noise up ahead of something going on with the bushes. Yeah, we have time. Let's do some D6 questions again to make this a bit more vivid. Jex, can you roll 2d6 this time?
That is a 7 total.
Oh, I'm doing from a table, so I want the column and the row.
Well, then a 5 and a 2.
5 and a 2. So I'm going to ask you to give us a sensory detail, and your question is, what smells are around here?
I think it's, just very, very earthy smells, soil. It's humid, so there's that kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. There's almost like a little bit of like a putrid kind of quality to it, but like just very, very faint. Yeah, and I think that, this is going a little bit further than that, but the humidity probably feels like pretty oppressive. And so that little putridness that's really only a taste sometimes comes on a little bit stronger.
That's awesome. See, like for me, I like just saying those things. It helps make it more vivid. I feel more like I'm there. Megan, can you also roll 2d6?
Yes. A 5 and a 1.
5 and a 1. This is also a sensory detail. What are the sounds that you hear? I said a couple. You can add different ones, or we can flip that, or a different question.
I mean, I guess for me, I'm assuming I'm hearing a lot of rustling of all of the leaves of us like going through the kind of the jungle forestry, a lot of like squelching noises. The ground is quite uh, moist, and faint buzzing is a constant, as if there's probably lots of small gnats around us that I can't really see, but I can hear all of that going on around us.
Awesome. And John, roll 2d6.
2 6s.
Fun. So 6, the last column is poetic details. Your question is, what evokes harmony or noise?
Harmony or noise? Interesting. Harmony or noise? You said there were, did you say there were chainsaws?
Yeah, I said a bunch of things. We can dive deeper into those, or you can add something different.
Yeah, I love the idea of chainsaws. Let's have like a sudden flare of chainsaw noise, which is very ominous and terrifying.
Yeah, so I like doing these questions because it helps ground me in where we are. It helps me see it a bit better. We can keep doing more questions if we feel like we don't see it clearly enough, but I feel like I've got a good vision of where you are.
Yeah.
There's some minions, some lower ranking crown guards kind of walking around in this area. There's maybe, I don't know if I want to say a number exactly. I think there's a decent number. Yeah, there's some, like there's a couple of turrets being made. I'll say there's 2 turrets. There's people at these panels kind of punching buttons, but no one's seen you yet. What do you do?
So I'm assuming we're wanting to try and get kind of closer to the actual, dreamer to kind of see what's going on. And if there's a number of minions, are we perhaps looking for a distraction of some sort, or we want to try and blend? What are you folks thinking?
Distraction could be interesting. I could make a ghost manifest, which might be a big distraction.
And they're able to see the ghost?
Yeah, I can make,
Ooh.
if I'm reading it correctly, unleash, when I unleash the storm, because I'm a tempest, describe the spirit you imbue with visibility and physical form. Say whether its purpose is to bring closure to the living or vengeance to the dead. The GM will say how it acts before it fades. So I like the idea of manifesting a spirit. I feel like this would probably draw the attention of people pretty easily. And then if it's a sort of vengeful spirit menacing this kind of imperial presence, that seems very possible. There's all these ghost bunnies around. I don't know if there's any other ghosts, ghosts of trees maybe, or something else.
Yes, I like this type of distraction. I think this is a fun
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Maybe I could materialize like a bunch of bunnies. I don't know. I'm not sure what the limits of these powers are.
Many
But
bunnies into a super bunny.
like a sort of like a leviathan, like a formed from many bunnies, kind of. This is very
Yes.
silly, but very cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to work, but now it is. That sounds pretty fun.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm picturing the Michelin Man ghost in Ghostbusters, but sort of teaming. How is it supposed to work, Bill? I sorry, I don't want to.
It's like a big part of the game is creative collaboration, right? So like whatever you want to add works in. You read out kind of the description.
Yeah.
You get to make these ghosts that you can already see in here. One of them gets to have a physical form now, so it could
Right.
just be for Jim to pet it, or it could be doing something different.
Right.
There's a couple more things I could explain here as we're going. So these minions I mentioned, they represent 0 danger, not dangerous. They're like stormtroopers where you just kind of can build up your own stuff by taking them out a lot of the time.
Sure.
However, because there's a lot of them, they're going to get a 2-row grid to try and take them all out if that's the approach.
Oh, cool.
Instead of just sneaking past them. Your powers always make major impact, so you'll get to mark off 3 boxes on that grid if that's what we end up doing. Why don't we read through your features so we can decide a bit more about if we want to do that? Can you read the part for Unleash the Storm? It's a big move.
Sorry, it's the move Unleash the Storm?
Yeah, because you're talking about doing that, I think. You want to do the big, powerful version of your power.
Yeah. Sorry, am I looking in the moves or on the characters tab?
On your character sheet,
Right.
under features, the first part is the storm inside, where you get to pick one, and then Unleash the Storm is what you have to roll when you actually want to let the big stuff go.
Oh, okay. Sorry, gotcha. Sorry, hold on one moment. Or sorry, you've brought it up, haven't you? Yeah. So when you enter trance to unleash the powers within you, roll plus conditions, and then on a 7+, you tap into your powers, enhancing your abilities as written. Achieve major impact and describe it. So plus conditions.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to mention here.
Right.
You do not. So currently this would be a risky roll. However, another thing we can note is that time does not have to be linear. If you want to get some conditions, you could describe a bad memory that's being maybe brought about by something around you, and then we could get you some conditions.
Yeah, I mean, nervous seems pretty possible here. That like this is a lot of Imperial troops, so that seems very, very possible. So why don't I mark nervous? I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Uh, so sorry, one step at a time. It's because you said there's the troops around. That's the thing
Yeah.
that we're going from.
I feel like a
So
bunch of
the
guys with
move,
guns would make me nervous.
yeah, there's just one more step we'll check first. The move for getting hit is called Get Rocked. It's under the moves
Right.
page, under
Oh,
Observe
yeah.
Controversy moves. So when you get rocked, determine how bad it is, and then choose from the appropriate list. So we're saying
Right.
that you're kind of getting rocked from seeing all these troops, and then you get to decide. You can decide. I'll let you say. Is this only a minor blow, a moderate blow, or a major blow? Like, how scared are you?
Minor.
So the choices: either the cast must catch you off guard, shut
Right.
others out, process one dynamic, or keep a brave mask. Mark one to condition. It sounds like you want to mark a condition.
Yeah. Let's mark the condition nervous.
Okay. So now you have one condition. If you want to roll to
Right.
unleash the storm, you'll be rolling +1.
With +1. Okay, let's roll. Let's see. That's a 7 on the roll, a 6 and a 1, and then +1 will be an 8.
Yeah, so this is a special rule. They can't team up to help you on this one. Can you read
Right.
what happens on a 7 to 9?
Yeah, on a 7 to 9, the storms comes fast and hard. Choose one. Powers bleed, danger equal to conditions, max 3. Struggle for control, mark 1 condition. And then, oh, sorry. Are those the only two? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so currently you have one condition. There could be a rating 1 danger, which is not that scary.
Right.
Or you could mark another condition.
I don't see what marking another condition would do, right? We're trying to create a distraction to sort of lure these guards or get rid of them. So would that be danger equal to conditions? So creating 1?
I'll tell you more how I see the options turning out.
Yeah.
So either way, you're going to make this giant bunny ghost monster become
Right.
real, and it's going to scare a bunch of stormtrooper minions.
Right.
Then we're going to mark 3 boxes on their grid. They'll have 3 more
Right.
boxes, so they're not completely taken out yet.
Right.
But either you mark another condition, or probably one of them's going to spot you, so you're not hiding anymore.
Oh, I see. That makes total sense. Well, it seems like conditions are good for me. So let's mark another condition, actually.
Sure.
Maybe exhausted. Maybe this is tiring to do. Sound good?
Yeah, so now you get to tell me more about this bunny Leviathan you've been mentioning.
Right. Yeah, so I sort of like coax the bunnies into like I sort of I'm shepherding them, and kind of shaping them. I've got some sort of necromantic influence here, and so I'm kind of exerting my power, and they form into like a sort of ghostly morass, a gigantic ghost bunny that materializes and starts to menace the enemies. It doesn't actually hurt them, but it's a terrifying sight.
Cool. So we've got some chaos here. Let me make my grid. Royal minions. Check, check, check. We only have 2 rows. Yeah, so Winter and Hala, you see this giant bunny come out. You might also be scared, I'm not sure. And you see the minions starting to scatter, and yeah, maybe one of them is blindly turning their turret and the bullets are going straight through this ghost. They're panicking even more. They start to abandon their stations. How do you want to take advantage of this situation?
Megan, I think you should go. You have
Okay.
like a devilish look on your face. I love it.
No, I'm just like, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think we should clearly maximize this opportunity, right? And start trying to get closer amongst all of the screen, right?
Bill, you said there were turrets, right?
I did.
Is that something that Jim could hack?
We could try.
Yes. Okay. Oops, I do not want one password. Sorry. So what are we trying to do with the turrets? What are we wanting? Just to
Like,
dismantle,
or kill the kill
right?
the other troops? I don't know. How
Because
murderous are we as a crew?
I don't know if we necessarily need to be murderous, but let's not forget
PG-13 murderers.
a caged swarm of angry bee robots that I am just itching to let loose, right? I think in this situation, these robot bees can definitely get to the height of a turret. I don't see why not. Jim's smart enough to engineer them that way. So she would like to unleash her swarm of bee-shaped robots. And I'm assuming I roll to see if that's successful.
Yeah,
If
so
everybody is on board with bee robots. Yes, please and thank you. Okay, let's do it.
great. So Megan, now we get to use your feature. So back on your character sheet, under where you checked off the things you have, like the cage of swarming bees, it says incredible devices. There's a little description about how this works. Can you read that for us, please?
Yeah, when you build a new gadget, draw a diagram. Do I actually need to draw a diagram right now?
This time you don't have to draw because you start with 2 devices, but
Okay,
if you
okay,
make a new one, you draw it. This one you already have.
okay. Then they'll tell everybody what it will do. Also, tell them what not to worry about since it probably won't happen. Uh, when you turn a gadget on for the first time, say how high you crank it to determine the rating of its impact, minor, moderate, or major. Then roll plus guile. On a 7 to 9, there's equal danger, and you choose a drawback. On a 6 minus, the danger is greater than the impact, and the GM chooses the drawbacks. Potential drawbacks: it's unstable, it won't work long, it attracts attention, it fires accidentally, it's a power hog, it hurts the user, it's way too strong, it has a mind of its own.
Cool.
So,
So to summarize, you can tell us what you think probably won't happen with the bees, and then you determine how high you're cranking the bees, like minor, moderate, or major. Are you letting out just a couple bees, all the bees? How hard do you want to go?
I'm 100%, we're going to 11 here, people. I definitely would like to have the majorest of swarms of bee robots, and it definitely probably won't happen that they will swarm us instead. Definitely probably won't ever happen, probably.
Okay, so now you get to roll plus guile.
Okay, I think my guile's decent. Oh, it's a 3. Let's go in with confidence. I rolled a 10, so I have a 13. What does that mean?
So that means you've avoided the drawbacks that would have happened on a 9 or less. And because you cranked it to 11, you're going to have major impact, which means we check the last 3 boxes on this grid for the minions. Can you tell us more about how your bees take out the rest of the minions?
Yes. So they kind of all swarm up, also mimicking the bunny Leviathan shape to add to the terrifying impact. And then they all split up and sting intensely all remaining minions. And then they fall asleep like Pokemon.
Nice. They're very PG-13.
Yes,
Much better than
very
my kill them with the turrets plan.
yes.
Nice. So now we've kind of cleared out this holding area where they've set up their equipment. Jex, if you'd like to go for a couple of your thrills, I think Hayla might have a chance here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. So all of these stormtrooper type guys have been like put to sleep. Is that right?
So when we finish the grid, it means the obstacle's been overcome. It could mean they're all asleep. It could mean they just ran away, but they've basically scattered and they're not presenting a challenge anymore.
Okay.
If you'd like to narratively describe how you're interacting with a couple as they're taken out, then you can do that. But I remember you chose an alarm or stealing a weapon, so we've got the turrets and all these buttons around if you wanted to try and mess with them.
Yeah. Should I change? Can I change pull an alarm to press a mystery button?
Sure.
And that's what I'll do. I'm looking at these buttons. I'm kind of like mostly just running my fingers over them, kind of getting the feel for them, and then I hear click, and I'm like, oh shit. Just looking around, see what happens.
You're muted. Muted.
Sorry, I was saying that I usually consider pressing mystery buttons as using a quote unquote good idea. So I would ask you to roll plus guile, I think.
All right, for sure. So should I wait to cross that off and add the coins until after that roll?
No, you did it. You can get your coins.
Cool. All right. So that was guile. That is a 12.
Nice. So let me remind myself what my move says for this. When you use a good idea to distract, trick, or gain an advantage. So in this case, you're gaining an advantage of some kind. I have to think of what the mystery button does now. First thought is the ice sculptures start to suddenly melt. I'm open to other ideas if you guys have things that you could see happening here.
It's pretty cool. It's a good idea.
That's
Like,
super
oops,
cool.
you turned it off.
Well, and I think that also then is kind of a distraction, right? Because people have to deal with this. You can't have the fascist statues melting. That absolutely not.
Why do they even have that button?
Kronk in my head. Okay. Or Yzma. Okay. Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's great. So you press the button in the searing jungle heat, like they've already been giving off all of this steam. You just start to see we haven't talked about, I'm curious what the faces of these things look like. I don't know if they're people that you know or if they're related to our friend George in some way, but faces melting, faces starting to fall, maybe huge pieces of ice are starting to fall and people are scattering around them. Yeah, do you want to add some detail here?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe they're I like the idea that the faces are sort of inscrutable a little bit, like they're recognizable as faces. But like it's sort of like you look at them and you have a clear image, but as soon as you look away, you forget what the image was. Which is also maybe how looking at George in his like pure form would kind of be. Yeah. How's that sound to folks?
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like it.
Yeah. That also implies to me like maybe there's some magic beyond just the not melting. Like maybe there's some kind of aura around them there. That sounds cool. Cool. So I think with this station taken out, you've made another major advancement in your journey. So I think at this point, you kind of can arrive in a clearing past all these things, or maybe you start to see the dreamer, the giant red and white tree I'd mentioned up ahead a little bit. But as you arrive, at this point, the reaction I'm supposed to make is that the crowns have succeeded in taking a part of the warp god. I'm just trying to imagine what that means for this tree. My first thought is that if George had a physical form, maybe taking like branches or leaves and like making some kind of clothing out of them. I'm not as sure. Like, I think George's hologram. Megan, how do you picture this happening? Could George be getting like maybe a filter to put over the holograph lens? Like maybe they're making a little filter out of leaves or something?
Interesting. I don't know. It's going to be my response. I'm not too sure. Does anybody else want to speak to George? I know George is my pillar, but
I guess my other idea is like maybe there's a machine that like leaves are being fed into. It's like they're being turned into like data chips or like hard drive disks or something. John, Jack's thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like, oh, what are they going to do to a tree, you know? And we mentioned chainsaws, which is kind of alarming. Like they're cutting parts of it. I wonder if they're carving the tree, like maybe trying to like whittle it into some sort of like a statue or carve things into it or something like that. That could be kind of interesting.
I often have something end up like kind of a masthead on a starship. So like maybe
Hmm.
they've been carving these kind of faces like we've been talking about. You look at it, you don't quite get it, you look away. Maybe
Yeah.
they've been managing to like carve a face like that because we've also got this statue thing going on. And they're like building into this big starship that they're planning to land upon.
Oh, that's really cool. So we're
Or a
like
fleet of
turning
them.
the god into a figurehead. Horrible.
ooh, with the chainsaws, that's what's happening with that, like a fern gully situation, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, I
I
like,
was
yeah,
thinking of Fern Gully. I was also thinking of
yes.
Princess Mononoke somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my references. Yeah, I should rewatch Ferngully maybe, but yeah, they've got. I'm gonna say there's like a bunch of these ships, and you can see they've got like different figureheads built onto each of them. Um, the other thing that happens as you come in here, uh, should I do this right away? Should I wait a second?
Can I also ask a question, Bill? For the dynamics, when you have a feeling, can that be at any point in the game, or is it when there's actually like an action that you're doing?
I got distracted. Could you repeat the question?
Sorry, just when I was thinking about dynamics and like the big feelings we have about our group, do we mark something only when you're trying to like execute a task, or is it kind of whenever?
So kind of whenever, but it's maybe a two-step process. So if you're feeling revelry, one of the feelings, you get to
Mhm,
mark revelry, but the reason you get to do that is because it probably counts as sharing a moment, which is the basic move that leads to marking dynamics.
mhm.
And same like when Winter wanted to mark nervous, they got to do that, but first we went through the get rocked move to because the feeling you were feeling getting rocked, that's the basic move that leads to marking the condition.
Right. Because I just really felt like when Hayla went for the technology and decided to push the mystery button, the joy that Jim felt in being able to be a part of this mystery button pushing, I just really felt that and was excited to be a part of that moment. And that's why I was like, should I mark down some revelry feelings that were happening to be a part of that? Or is that just a fun feeling I just get to experience myself?
No, yeah, you should mark it. And like I said before, time doesn't have to be linear when we tell our stories. So if we notice something later, like you can go back and give yourself credit for that feeling. We're getting towards the climax here where things are gonna get dramatically more dangerous pretty soon. So having some of those feelings will be helpful.
Yeah, I wanna mark it. I really enjoyed Hayla pushing that button. So I'm marking revelry. I was there in spirit and in physical person.
Um, yeah, uh, thank you for asking. That's fun. Like the feelings are part of the point of the story. Um, there is like another thing that's going to happen here in a second, but I think I'll back up because we've got enough going on right now. I think you come into this clearing, you see tree chainsaws, you see uh, all these ships being set up. I do want George to be present here. So, um, how does that work? Is there like a TV screen? Is there a hologram? Is there a physical robot or something like a clone? How could they be present here too?
Can I make a pitch? I really uh when you said like a robot or a clone, like what if it's like sort of like a almost like a dummy bot, right? Like that looks almost like a mannequin or like a crash test dummy or something. Um but it takes on this form of whatever form George is in.
Yeah, like I'm imagining, those like kind of I think Westworld had this idea, but like those that's sort of like made of tons of little points, kind of metal that can reshape itself kind of things. Maybe something like that. Like so the face can appear differently.
Oh, interesting. So is it kind of like I like the dummy situation, and then so the face like as it turns, it'll be reflecting and like morphing in real time to a different face kind of thing.
Or I don't know, just an
That's cool. I picture one of those hologram things where like when you tilt it, you can see two different faces.
Yeah, that's cool then too, because then that ties back in with the kind of that uncanniness, and yeah, I love that.
Neat. We are approaching, I think, our next break time, but like, does anyone react suddenly when they come into this view, or do you take a moment to sort of take it all in and see if someone spots you?
I think since George is my pillar and I do have a lot of those negative emotions from like the intellectual theft that happened at this point many years ago, but it still feels kind of raw. I'm definitely feeling. I mean, I guess out of the, I don't know if this is like a condition I'm supposed to be feeling, but I think I just feel like a mixed bag of emotion of like feeling really, you know, kind of upset and angry, but also this like you should kind of be over this at this point. But just a lot of a mixed bag of negative emotions is kind of swirling in my head, which is a sharp turn from the revelry I felt of the mystery button.
So it might turn into a condition, but it sounds like you're describing getting rocked. So back on the moves page, you're going to get to make a choice here, kind of like John did before. When you get rocked, determine how bad it is and then choose from the list. Is this for you a minor blow, a moderate blow, or a major blow?
I think moderate. Definitely, it's definitely more than minor. I'm not completely taken out because I don't know if I knew for sure that I was going to be seeing George again in the future, but I thought that that could definitely happen. So a moderate blow. And then am I choosing one of these?
Yeah, so you have three choices. You can either lose something, lose objects, secrets, or reputation. You can lash out, and then two PCs process one dynamic each. Or your hope falters and you mark two conditions.
Hmm. I think it's hard, but I think my hope falters just a little bit. I know that's marking some conditions on me, but I think the fact that I see this entity that has kind of bested me before and that I'm still not completely over, it kind of, takes that sort of toll. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess choose two conditions to mark them.
Okay, so I go to my character. Uh, I guess maybe uncertain and nervous. I'm probably feeling both of those things at this point in time. Yep. Okay. Let's
Yeah,
go
go
this
for
way.
it.
Yeah.
Other people, I don't know if you're immediately pulling out your weapons and charging, or if you want to take a different approach here.
I don't seem like the immediately pull out my weapon and charge kind of guy, but obviously we're gonna have to do something here.
I think I'm the get low and try to sneak into you know kind of get a stealth attack or kind of um, that kind of thing. So I'm getting in position for that. I mean, I don't think it's in my like actual like gear on here or whatever, but like can I have like a blaster or whatever or
Yeah, I think there's kind of two questions here. So the gear, the belongings part, I forget what you chose. Let's see. Uh, so for belongings, you chose Lucky Shot for your combat gear.
mm-hmm.
Um, you can kind of decide whatever your combat gear looks like. Like that can be a blaster, that can be like a sword that shoots energy beams, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want it to be. It could be like a weird mushroom or something. But you do have a way of fighting. You've got some kind of weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tactical kits, I guess I didn't explain, but they're kind of like Looney Tunes pockets. Anything that fits within the idea of spy kit, you can say is in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think.
Sorry, the other thing I was going to say is I'm not sure. I feel like we might have lost the chance for stealth because we've got these ice things like
Sure,
melting and
got it.
falling everywhere.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So,
well, I think then. So I think I have a laser gun of some kind. I think it, to the viewer at home of the show, it looks a little old west, but a little sci-fi. And can I try to do like some kind of like quick shot thing? Like what would be the best target here if I were to just pull out and shoot before anyone has a chance to react to us?
so the targets that I imagine, I guess, are we've talked about chainsaws. So there's some people doing work on the tree if you want to try and immediately stop that from happening. And then I think George is taking more of an overseer role. It could make sense that there's guards here, but I think we already bypassed the guards. This is more of like the work area. I don't know if we still have a lot of soldiers in here. They're probably going to call back up at some point, but maybe not right now.
Yeah, I feel like on the one hand, I don't know how effective it is to shoot a robot hologram thing, but on the other hand, that's clearly the fucking cooler option. So yeah, I think I want to basically do a quick draw and kind of just blast George in the head.
Interesting. So I have a move for fighting. I'm not sure how to apply the quick draw part that you're saying. I'm just thinking about the moves that I've
And I mean,
got
that
written.
can just be color, like.
I'm just going to be right back.
This could be plus plays, like the navigate danger thing, like you're trying to draw before they have a chance to respond. So we could do it that way, or we could do a showdown. The difference, if you do a showdown, you trade blows, so George will also get to hit you. And pillars like this, they've got a rating of 3, so she's going to hit pretty hard if she has a chance to hit you.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that having it be the fight one makes more sense, and not just because I have a 0 in poise. Because I think it makes sense that there could be, a very quick reaction to this. I'm not shooting a normal human who this is just going to immediately kill, right? And potentially the reaction could be even not from George specifically, right? It could be, who knows if George can call up other other kind of bots or what. So I think that makes total sense to me that it could be that it would be the fight move showdown.
Cool. Yeah, it took us a while, but we got to the fight move. Yeah, we're gonna do a break here pretty soon. I think we can do the roll first. You want to do 2d6 plus steel?
That is a 6 plus 1 is 7. Just did it.
So we'll read the move. When you showdown with a foe, check in, then roll plus steel. Trade impact and danger. By default, you do 2 impacts, and George does 3, so that's currently the exchange. On a 6 minus, their danger would have been more than expected. On a 7 to 9, you get to choose 2 of these. On a 10 plus, you would get 3. So you can deflect blows and lower their danger, so you only take a moderate blow instead of a major blow. You can hit harder and boost impact, so you do 3 damage instead of 2. You can vent frustrations and process 1 condition in the process here. You can playfully quip and mark 1 dynamic, or you can make them lose something.
Playfully quip is so much fun, and I regret that I'm not going to choose it here. I think I'm just going to deflect blows and hit harder.
Okay, so I should make a new grid. So you get to mark 3 boxes for hitting harder. Adversity move, you're taking a moderate blow. So you get to choose. Do you lose objects, secrets, or reputation? Do you lash out and have 2 PCs mark process 1 dynamic each? Or does your hope falter and you mark 2 conditions?
I will mark 2 conditions.
Okay.
I'm going to mark uncertain because this didn't maybe go exactly how I thought. And nervous, I suppose.
Okay. So for the flavorful description, I think as the quick draw, like you do get your shot off first, and maybe you're surprised that George doesn't fall down. They just kind of reel back for a second, and then how do we picture George fighting back? Is there like a large hard light beam that comes shooting out of the ground or something? Or I don't picture this dummy holding a gun the way we were describing it.
What if
what does the combat look like?
What if pieces of them like break off because it's this sort of like, almost like nanotechnology that it's made up of, right? And like it's like these drones that sort of break off from the main George that come in and attack.
Cool. I like that. So George takes the shot first. The drones come in, snipe back at you, and then the music maybe gets more intense, like da da da. And we're gonna take a break here.